Sirens haven't sounded yet, but the shelters are open. From Haifa to Ashdod, cities move from 0 to 100, bracing for a strike that hasn't come, but is expected. Discipline above ground, anxiety below it. After Iran's regional hits, Israel prepares quietly. So is this precaution or the calm before impact? Israeli cities are ramping up civil defense preparations amid fears of renewed Iranian attacks, following escalating tensions in the Persian Gulf. According to a report by Ynet, local authorities across multiple cities have begun opening public shelters and increasing readiness levels, despite no official change in national alert protocols. In Haifa, Mayor Yahav emphasized public discipline while warning of potential escalation, adding that around 35% of residents lack protected shelters, with efforts underway to address the gap.
In Haifa, life goes on as usual. We have not raised the alert level. The residents have iron discipline. I do not trust the terrorist organizations, and we are preparing ourselves for any surprise. We are moving to protect these homes. In my view, it will take a year and a half.
He also criticized the central government's lack of engagement.
They do not come here and do not call me, even though I am the most experienced politician in the country. I am bitterly angry about it. I am a huge patriot. We are the largest city in the north. How did they forget this?
In Rishon, LeZion, Mayor Kinstlich confirmed that shelters have already been opened as a precaution.
Everyone knows I err on the side of caution because the city leads in sirens. At the same time, we are not rushing, but we are on full alert. Already this morning, we inspected all the shelters. Unfortunately, we are used to going from 0 to 100 faster than a Tesla.
Kinstlich also highlighted infrastructure gaps affecting tens of thousands of residents.
Unfortunately, Rishon is not a young city, and about 50,000 residents lack protected spaces. That is exactly why we are activating our entire mass protection system. We are opening educational institutions, and residents can come, sleep there in those buildings' shelters.
Meanwhile, in Ashdod, Mayor Lasri confirmed an increase in citywide alert levels and readiness.
In light of the rising tensions, I instructed last night that the city's alert level be raised and readiness increased across all municipal systems. There is full readiness to open protected spaces, the operations center is staffed, and the municipal hotline has been reinforced. Our task forces are on full alert and prepared for any scenario.
The heightened alert follows Iranian strikes targeting the UAE and Oman, marking a renewed wave of hostilities after a fragile ceasefire. The escalation comes after the US President Donald Trump announced Operation Freedom, aimed at securing maritime routes through the Strait of Hormuz while maintaining pressure on Iran through a naval blockade. With tensions rising across the region, Israeli cities are moving quickly to fortify the home front, preparing for the possibility that the next phase of the conflict could reach civilian centers once again. Israel is fighting a war on multiple fronts. Apparently that includes one with its own ultra-Orthodox community. On the night of May 4th, thousands of Haredi worshippers stormed Mount Meron in northern Israel to mark the Jewish holiday of Lag BaOmer, brushing aside wartime restrictions that authorities had imposed just days earlier over fears of Hezbollah rocket fire. The rules were clear enough. The IDF Home Front Command had capped outdoor gatherings at 200 people. Police closed all roads to Meron, erected barriers, and deployed hundreds of officers. What was normally a pilgrimage drawing over 100,000 people was to be scaled back to 3 small bonfire ceremonies. Despite the oversight, the police insisted on Monday afternoon that enough had been done to keep pilgrims away. They denied reports indicating that thousands had already snuck into the complex, and that thousands more were on their way, driving as far as they could and then walking the remainder of the route.
The entry of thousands of people into the Meron area has so far been prevented, and the arrival of hundreds of buses traveling in violation of the Home Front Command guidelines has been thwarted.
But the visuals showed a different reality. By nightfall, crowds had overturned fences, walked through private farmland, and driven as far as roads would take them before continuing on foot. One pilgrim summed up the situation with 3 words.
Anyone can come.
Shimon, who gave only his first name, said he drove from a settlement near Jerusalem without encountering a single checkpoint, calling it a miracle. Adding to the confusion, National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir showed up at the site himself and praised the officers on duty, not for enforcing the rules, but for their restraint in not doing so.
I think we should commend all the officers who are currently at all the checkpoints surrounding Meron, and they're working very gently.
The scene at Meron was notably calmer than 2 years prior, when police used pepper spray, fired warning shots, and shoved elderly worshippers. This time, the crowd simply walked through. Authorities had tried to redirect the faithful to Jerusalem, where 2 mass bonfire ceremonies were organized. Rabbi Elimelech Biderman, who traditionally lights the central bonfire at Meron, moved his ceremony to a road in northern Jerusalem, drawing an estimated 33,000 people. Meron has not had an uncomplicated Lag BaOmer in years. A 2021 crowd crush killed 45 people, Israel's deadliest civilian disaster on record. Every year, the second most visited Jewish pilgrimage site in Israel becomes something close to a city of its own. Hundreds of thousands climb Mount Meron in northern Israel for Lag BaOmer, lighting bonfires, dancing through the night, celebrating the life of a second-century sage whose tomb draws the faithful from across the world. This year, they will not be going. On April 27th, the country's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cancelled the mass format of the annual Lag BaOmer festival at Meron, scheduled for May 5th, citing the fragile ceasefire with Lebanon and the continued threat of rocket fire toward the area. The decision followed a wave of Hezbollah strikes that prompted Israel's Home Front Command to restrict gatherings in northern border communities to 1,500 people. Meron sites close enough to the Lebanese border that evacuating tens of thousands of pilgrims quickly under fire was deemed an unacceptable risk. Netanyahu's office laid out the reasoning plainly.
The Prime Minister has instructed that the events marking the celebration of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai at Meron will not take place this year in a mass participation format, but only in a symbolic format. The decision was made because of concern over a mass casualty event, the fragile ceasefire with Lebanon, Meron's proximity to the border, rocket fire towards the area, and the difficulty of evacuating large numbers of participants quickly.
The weight of that decision is considerable. Lag BaOmer at Meron is the Hilula, the joyous anniversary of the death of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, credited with authoring the Zohar, the foundational text of Kabbalah. His passing is marked not with mourning, but with celebration, honoring the mystical teachings he left behind. Towering bonfires are lit across the country. 3-year-old boys receive their first haircuts at the mountain in a rite of passage observed for generations. None of that will happen at scale this year. Hezbollah has maintained that its strikes are a legitimate response to Israeli ceasefire violations and the continued occupation of southern Lebanese territory. Israel has continued striking Hezbollah targets regardless. Since hostilities resumed on March 2nd, Lebanon's health ministry says around 2,500 people have been killed and close to 8,000 wounded. Saturday afternoon in northern Israel, Sirens went off across several towns as 2 rockets and a drone came in from Lebanon. The Israeli military intercepted the drone and 1 rocket. The second rocket hit an open area. No one was hurt, but that almost doesn't matter at this point, because this was not the first time, and it was not the last. The Israeli Defense Forces were blunt about what happened.
The Hezbollah terror organization has again blatantly violated the ceasefire agreement.
That word, again, is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responded within hours. His office put out a short, sharp statement.
Prime Minister Netanyahu has ordered the IDF to vigorously attack Hezbollah targets in Lebanon.
And the IDF did exactly that. Strikes hit buildings used by Hezbollah in the southern Lebanon security zone, including facilities linked to the group's elite Radwan force, which the military says were being used to store weapons and coordinate attacks.
The buildings were struck to remove a threat to IDF soldiers and Israeli civilians.
Ground operations were also moving. Israeli troops in southern Lebanon killed a Hezbollah operative riding a motorcycle. 3 more were killed in a strike on a pickup truck carrying weapons near the town of Yomor, just north of the Israeli-held buffer zone. 2 additional armed operatives were taken out in a separate airstrike. The IDF said all of them posed a threat to IDF troops operating in southern Lebanon. Lebanon's health ministry confirmed the strikes had killed 4 people in the south. And yet, even as all of this was unfolding, there was technically a ceasefire in place. One that US President Donald Trump had just extended by 3 weeks, announced just 2 nights earlier on Thursday. Trump said Israel retained the right to strike in self-defense, which is exactly what both sides now claim every time they pull a trigger. The negotiations happening right now are the first direct, sustained talks between the 2 countries in decades. The first round took place on April 14th. 2 days later, Trump announced a 10-day ceasefire. Then came the extension. At the White House this week, Israeli and Lebanese envoys sat down together for a second time. They issued a joint statement agreeing on what they called the urgent need to revive the November 2024 ceasefire deal, which had originally required the Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah. That requirement has never been fully met, and Hezbollah has made clear it has no intention of going quietly. Netanyahu, speaking on Friday, said this directly.
We have begun a process to achieve a historic peace between Israel and Lebanon, and it is clear to us that Hezbollah is trying to sabotage this. We are maintaining full freedom of action against any threat, including emerging threats. We struck yesterday, and we struck today. We are determined to restore security to the residents of the north.
Hezbollah, for its part, claims it is simply responding to Israeli violations. The group says Israel never fully withdrew from Lebanese territory and has continued provocations since the November 2024 deal. Since the latest ceasefire took effect on April 17th, Hezbollah has been launching multiple attacks per day on Israeli forces in the south. The IDF says that in the same period, it has killed over 30 Hezbollah operatives and destroyed hundreds of the group's sites.